Welcome back to Ways to Love Your Money. I'm Elizabeth Dawson, and we want to just have a great show today. I can't wait to introduce you to Miss Victoria Rose. She is a powerhouse of a young female financial entrepreneur out there, and I think you're really going to love that interview. But before we get into that, what I wanted to talk to you is that if you have any questions about Social Security, we have a Social Security guide, which I'm holding up right here, but those of you that are listening, you're welcome to give us a call at 619-640-2622, and we'll be happy to get you a copy of this because they've said that there's thousands of different ways that we can actually elect our Social Security, and probably a lot of benefits that you don't realize exist. So if you'd like to get a copy of this, we'd be happy to get it to you. Just give us a call, give us your email. We'll make sure we take care of you. Again, stay tuned. We'll be right back with Miss Victoria Rose, and I think you'll just enjoy that interview as much as I will. Bye-bye. Well, welcome back, everyone. This is Ways to Love Your Money. I'm Elizabeth Dawson, and we have Victoria Rose, and she is a female entrepreneur here in San Diego, and we are excited about this interview with her. So welcome, Miss Victoria. It's great to have you here. You know, in your background, we
Yeah.
have Executives Extension, so this is part of your business here in San Diego. I can't wait to hear all about that, but thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be here with you today, Elizabeth.
Good, good. So tell me a little bit about you. You have some stories. We obviously talk about Ways to Love Your Money as a money show. So I asked you earlier if you were from San Diego, and you just told me no, I'm not. So I kind of want to start, the conversation there. So where did life begin for you?
Life began in New Jersey, all over. I moved all over. So I was raised by a single mom. It was just her and I. I'm an only child, and we lived in like a really small town in Hunterdon County called Clinton, New Jersey. And I'm gonna try to paint a picture for you really quick. So that what that is think of like a Hallmark Christmas movie, and it's like a small town and everybody knows each other. That's what it was like. So we lived above a little storefront there in Clinton, and I would go every morning and walk my puppy down the street, and all the store owners knew me, and I was like the town kid. We lived there till I was 10. And then my mom purchased her first house, and that was in Middlesex Borough, New Jersey.
Oh wow.
And I lived there with her for a little while. And then life kind of took a turn around 15, 16. My mom was a great person and an amazing, strong woman,
Hmm.
but she made some poor decisions later in her life. And I actually ended up in foster care.
Oh wow,
So,
wow,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, from 16 to 18, I was in foster care, and I was adopted 3 days before I turned 18.
Oh,
Uh, Foster family. But I'm by myself now, so I actually don't have any communication or connection with them anymore.
oh.
And I decided to move out to California 5 years ago. The reason being was it was an attempt to bond myself with my extended family here. So I was really just looking for that connection. And, it wasn't so successful, but that's okay because I made a great life for myself here. And so now it's been 5 years. October 3rd marked 5 years since I've now been in San Diego.
Well, congratulations. That's pretty amazing. I mean, wow, what a journey through life. I mean, when we started talking about this initially, the money question, right? So, was money abundant? Was money scarce when you were young? Did you have a concept of money and how how hard it was to live or how easy it was to live? What was your concept about money back then?
Absolutely. So I learned the value of a dollar from a very young age, and that was because we didn't have much at all.
Hmm.
So my mom was a single mom and didn't have a support system with family. We have a pretty dysfunctional family, and so
Oh,
she was a really strong, independent woman. I mean, we were on welfare and we did have food stamps, but this woman was working anywhere from 2 to 3 jobs at a time.
wow.
If that meant loading me up in the car at 2, 3 in the morning to go deliver newspapers first thing in the morning,
Wow.
she did it.
Mm.
So I mean, at one point she became a cosmetologist and tried to support us that way, and then leveraged her secretarial certificate and was a secretary at Lucent until they went down, Enron.
Wow.
But we didn't have much. A lot of what I had was hand-me-downs, or church giveaways. And, we would go into stores and my mom would say, look, but don't touch, keep your hands in your pocket because I learned from a very young age that things cost money and we don't have money to purchase them if it
Mm.
breaks or things of that nature. Hmm.
So how do you think that that's basically made you who you are today? How do you think that that's influenced you in your decisions and how you live your life today?
Yeah, I mean, I saw my mom struggle, and I didn't have a bad life. I had a life filled with love and affection and things that were not materialistic. But I also knew that I didn't want to struggle like my mom did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned from a very young age that there's wealth in education. And I just made sure that I did a really great job in school and I got some scholarships and made sure that I went to college because, growing up, I was always told that in order to make money, you had to go to school and get a
Mm.
degree and you had to be really educated and then everything would fall into place. And so, actually, from 7 years old, little 7-year-old Victoria, I would tell everybody I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh.
And I said I was going to be a lawyer from the time that I was 7 up until I got to Seton Hall, which that was my number one choice school. I got into it. It was number one in the tri-state area for law at the time, and I was the youngest person in a pre-legal summer program. And I think I might have been a little too young and immature to be in that program in retrospect, thinking back.
Mm.
But it completely turned me off from wanting to be an attorney. I said, I'm done with this. And then I went back after that summer and I switched over to the Stillman School of Business and I got my degree in business economics. But, basically what I'm getting at here, Elizabeth, is that I always knew that I wanted to be successful.
Mm. Well, I think that it's a passion for people to really find where their roots are and to kind of drive them. And you are a self-starter for sure. You are definitely someone that has seen a vision for what you wanted your life to be, and you never looked back. It doesn't sound like.
No, that's right. Never have, never will.
So that kind of leads you into you went through school. You got business and economics as your background. So how did
Mhm.
you start in the workforce?
Yeah, so great question. I actually started off my career kind of in more like a corporate finance type role. So, um, like my mom, natural born hustler, all through college, I worked 3 jobs. So I had my paid internship, I nannied, and I also got paid to give ad hoc presentations to high school kids about how to get into college. And
Wow.
so that internship was a 2-year internship. And I got hired after graduation, and it was for a forensic economic consulting firm.
Hmm.
Mouthful.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was really cool because I was still got to kind of touch the law aspect of things, right? So it's really just fancy words to explain that attorneys would hire us as economists to look at their case file and say, had my client not been injured or
Mm-hmm.
wrongfully terminated or died, they would have made X amount of dollars from the time of the incident through their life expectancy.
Hmm.
And so it was me going through the file, coming up with a summary of what happened. So kind of like using my writing skills and then also crunching numbers and coming up with those bottom line figures. And I loved what I did,
Mm-hmm.
but I realized pretty quickly that in order for me to grow in that field, I would have to get my PhD and become an expert testifying economist. And that wasn't something I was interested in. So I ended up going back on campus, getting an on campus interview, and I started with Prudential Financial and
Hmm.
kind of like an operations role. And I was doing some of their billing, and about a year into that, I got promoted and got moved to the headquarters in Newark, New Jersey. And I started on the corporate finance side, so doing more like FP&A, financial planning and analysis. And after about 3 years of working there, I found myself in the workforce again and I registered with the staffing agency and they said, we think you'd be great for this role.
Hmm.
And it was called business manager and it was a 3-part role. So it was an office assistant or office manager, executive assistant, and financials, but on the departmental level. And it was the first opportunity that I had to be an independent contributor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of just hit the ground running. My first day, my boss sat me down. He said, listen, Victoria, I'm a sales guy. He says, I like to be out in the field and I like to bring the money in. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
I need someone to be my home base who's going to be here in the office, run everything, and kind of tell me what I need to do.
Yeah.
And here I'm like 26 years old and I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But as you can tell, I never shy away from a challenge. And he told me, he's like, I see soft skills in you that I can't teach. I can teach you the technical skills. And within 7 months, I was his first FTE that he hired, and I had that entire business functioning
Mm.
in a great way. And so that was with Broadridge Financial, and it was the consulting sector. So it was like a new branch off that they had added, and we built that organization up. And that was when I decided, like, I just had this void, and I knew I needed family, and I decided it was time and moved to San Diego. So,
Wow,
and
wow.
started all over again.
So you have family out here, cousins, siblings.
Extended family. So
Okay.
it's my great uncle, great aunt, who unfortunately my great uncle passed away
Mm.
almost 3 years ago now.
Sorry.
And then a whole bunch of second and third cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, things were great for a while there. I
Mm-hmm.
actually lived with them for 3 years when I first moved
Wow.
out here.
Wow.
And big Italian family. Our
Mm-hmm.
house was set up kind of like a combine, like everybody had their own space. But when Poppy passed away, um, they say death does one of two things. It either brings families closer together
Mm.
or it tears them apart. And that's kind of what happened with us. So
Oh.
we'll see what happens, what's in the future. But
Well, it's kind
yeah.
of interesting because we have a lot of things that are kind of aligned. I'm very familiar with where you grew up. I lived in New Jersey myself in my early 20s. I have
No
family all
way.
over, New Jersey and New York State. And it's one of those things where family here is very sparse, but family back on the East Coast is very abundant. And it's been a blessing to be close to that family too when I could be. I didn't. I moved back for a short time, but I didn't stay very long.
Mhm.
But it's been a journey, and so I appreciate the fact that you have family roots and big Italian family and all those things too. So those are wonderful wonderful things to be part of. So I commend you. You're a make it happen kind of gal. You're an entrepreneur. You're a women-owned business, and let's talk a little bit about your company now and really what steered you in that direction, because I think along the way, financial security has been a part of your, greatest achievements as well. So how did it all come together?
Yeah, great question. So, just before COVID, I found myself unemployed and out of a job that provided me a really comfortable six-figure salary.
Mm,
And, it's not that that came overnight. I worked really hard. I started from the
sure.
ground up when I moved here to San Diego, and I had a few different executive assistant roles. And then, I landed that last role, and then when it was taken away, I'm like, okay, it's not going to be that difficult. With
Mm-hmm.
my skill set, with my education, with my experience, I'm going to land another role like in a couple of weeks. I'm going to bounce right back. And then, boom, COVID hit.
Wow. Wow.
And it was like all these companies weren't hiring, and everybody was on a freeze. People were getting furloughed or even just laid off completely. And it was a couple really tough months of just, applying, aggressively and being turned down and denied left and right. And then I even started applying for some roles beneath me, and, like, not, I don't want to say like beneath me, but like way under what I was making. And then I'm overqualified, right? And so I got to a place of I wanted to stop feeling sorry for myself, and I started thinking out of the box. So I said, all this experience that I have, why don't I take that and basically translate that to support the average entrepreneur, small
Mm-hmm.
business owner, celebrity athlete. And I was presented with an opportunity to kind of be like a personal assistant to this one individual. And I started wrapping my head around it and trying to run the numbers and come up with a business model. And I said, okay, one entrepreneur or one business owner might not be able to replace my six-figure corporate salary,
Mm-hmm.
but three could. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was working in corporate, I was supporting anywhere from 2 to 4 executives at a time.
Wow.
And so this is doable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. And so I built this structure. I built this business model with the intention of bringing on at least 3 clients under executives extension, and that would be how I would kind of get afloat again. And so then I did the soft launch on social media where I announced what I was going to be doing. And Elizabeth, when I tell you, like, the outpour of support that I got, I had so many people reaching out to me and said, I've been displaced from work. I'm looking for a new skill set. I'm looking for a new trade. Like, I want to be a part of what you're doing. it was overwhelming. I had over
Mm,
50 people reach out to me
mm,
and said that they wanted to work with my company. So I'm like, wow, there's a real like need for this, but
mm-hmm,
I obviously need to find clients. So I started brainstorming around how I can make this happen, and that was the birth of Virtual Victoria. So I'm planning, or I'm in the process of creating this course curriculum.
mm-hmm,
And so in my packages that I offer my clients, there's 12 standard administrative services that I provide. And so the curriculum is going to be built out to support that. So there's going to be 12 different courses that are aligned with these services. And it's going to teach you from the comfort of your home how to become a virtual assistant.
mm-hmm,
And then upon successful completion of the course, there's a possibility that you may be able to land a paid client contract with Executives Extension working as a virtual Victoria.
mm,
But I just wanted to create a different type of workforce solution for the current COVID climate that we're in.
mm-hmm,
So many people are working from home, so many companies are realizing they don't need all of this leasing space that they're spending on overhead expenses.
mm-hmm.
So I want to create an opportunity for someone to learn a trade that will allow you to make six figures from the comfort of your home,
Mm.
support people and realizing that you can add value. And you have to be a service minded person to do
Sure,
this though.
sure. Well, service
Yeah.
is, service is the number one trade, right? Taking care of people and doing things that they need so that they can get out of their own way, if you will, and do the things that they're good at. So that's incredible, incredible story, because you have to be such a go-getter and such a unique individual to want to take this out on your own. But boy, you've really created a lot of vision and creativity, which is exciting.
It's
Well,
a revolutionary virtual experience
mm-hmm,
for the average entrepreneur, small business owner, celebrity athlete. I mean, it's a completely untapped market
mm-hmm,
in comparison to what's out there. Because currently, I mean, you can get a virtual assistant in the Philippines or even India, but you're going to deal with time zone differences,
mm-hmm.
language barriers, the inability to be the boots on the ground when necessary. So this is kind of
Well,
changing up the game.
this sounds like a wonderful game plan for you and a great business model, and I think you're going to do incredible things. And I know we're getting close to the end here in the show. I can't wait to meet you in person one of these days. I think it'll be great. I think we both share something which is called the SD Power Women, and it's through Discovery Magazines, and we're both a part of that. So that's been a joy to get to know you through that organization, which is fantastic. And I would love for you to just come back on the show, and maybe we can answer some of the other questions that you originally told us about you, and get to know you even a little bit more. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you.
Back. And congratulations on being honored this year at
Thank
that
you.
event.
Thank you.
That
You
was
as
a
well.
huge accomplishment.
Thank
So
you. Thank you. You as
very
well. Yes. Well, isn't Victoria an amazing entrepreneur at work here? She has got a vision, she's got a plan, and she's going to make it happen. So if you're out there and you're thinking that you need to make it happen and you want to ask any questions of Victoria or myself, don't hesitate and don't procrastinate. You can give us a call at 619-640-2622, and we'll put you in touch with the right people. All right, take care. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Wasn't Victoria amazing? If you have any ideas that you're thinking about and you're afraid to break through, I think that there's been amazing opportunities for people of all ages to reinvent themselves and recreate. Due to COVID, this has been this shut down world. They're talking about shutting it down again. And how can we be more creative to be able to open up opportunities for people to create success and have successful careers? What I love about Victoria is she wants to give it back. She wants to educate and have even more people come part of her business. So those are things that are close to my heart as a female financial entrepreneur. This is something that is a passion for me each and every day. You can obviously see with Victoria, it's a passion each and every day for her too. So again, just to wrap up, there is a question from our audience that came in. I'm going to have Rachel say it to me, and then we'll wrap up today's show.
I received unemployment during COVID-19 and was paid more than I usually make. I'm now back at work, but I am worried about the amount of taxes I will have to pay. What should I do for my 2020 taxes?
Well, that's a great question, because that means a lot of people have actually had this exposure. One of the things that they don't necessarily tell you is that you're going to have to pay taxes on that. If you didn't have taxes withheld along the way, you're going to have a pretty rude awakening when it comes springtime next year when you go to do your taxes. You might want to do a fourth quarter review right now. and find a tax professional that can help you. Give them your information about what you received from unemployment, the additional income, any income that you're earning from an employer now, because you don't want this rude awakening of saying, oh gosh, I got all this money, I have nothing left, and I have nothing to pay my taxes. So do yourself a favor. If you need help with introducing yourself to a tax professional, we will be happy to put you in touch. Now is the time. And again, if you want to get anything about the Social Security Guide that we talked about at the beginning of the show, make sure that you reach out to us. We'll get it to you. And then in addition, our show always is an open invitation for you to give us a call to do an open consultation with you as well. So hope this show was amazing for you as it was for us. And stay tuned. Next week, we'll be back with another. Take care. The information provided in this show is for informational and educational purposes only. This show is not investment advice, nor is it intended to address the financial needs of any particular viewer. The opinions expressed on this show are not intended to be an endorsement of any particular investment strategy or service of any other kind. You must make an independent decision regarding investments or strategies mentioned throughout the show. Before acting on information in this show, you should consider whether it is suitable for your particular situation and strongly consider seeking advice from a financial advisor.